Ladies and gentlemen, taking the flow of this event forward, of course, we have two visionary leaders here with us. An extraordinary journey, a true testament of coming together of values and vision. And I think this is just the perfect note for me to invite onto this dais the chairman of Hero Enterprise, Shri Kant Munjal, to deliver the welcome address at the 17th edition of BML Munjal Awards.
Let me add my welcome to all of you for this special evening, especially to Piyush, Minister for Commerce and Industry, Government of India. I also want to thank our guest of honor, Shri Amitabh Kant, India's Sherpa to the G20. Thank you very much, Mr. Kant, for making the time. You have been both an ideas man for India and an actions man for India. As you just heard, the BML Munjal Awards started in 2006, when we had 25 companies apply for the awards. Over a period of time, it has become truly a highly coveted award, and we have hundreds of companies every year who make a pitch to be considered for the award. So these awards from day one were designed to pick companies which focus on people as a part of their main strategy of the business and whose business ends up benefiting from this. So we have two different events we are trying to achieve in a short period of time this evening. One is to give away these awards to companies who have been shortlisted and selected. And second is to release a book that I had written some years ago. In 2019, I wrote the book, The Making of Hero. And that book became a bestseller in week one and won the Tata Litfest Award 2 years later. Because of COVID, everything else stopped. So the communication around the book also had to be done remotely. Last year was my father's centennial of his birthday. So we published the book, other than in Hindi, also in Gujarati and Marathi. Today, we would like you to release the book in Braille for the Hindi version of Braille for those who are unable otherwise to get access to knowledge of this nature. So unlike the other books which were sold, this book will only be given as a gift to any institution, any library, any organization that works with or focuses on those who are visually challenged or completely blind.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for this very special unveiling. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for doing the honors. And now I request you to please join me for the award ceremony. And as already highlighted, it takes a lot to win a BML Munjal Award. As I announce the winner in the very first category, that is Private Sector Manufacturing category. And this goes out to TVS Motor Company. And we have a runners-up in the public sector category. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your applause going as we have Hutko coming on stage to win the prize in the public sector category. Many congratulations to Hutko for the runners-up in public sector category. The winner under the public sector category, ladies and gentlemen, all hands put together. Let's cheer for ONGC Videsh Limited. Next, we're moving to the category of emerging stars, and this one goes out to Oyo. moving into the Sustained Excellence category, and the winner is HPCL. Many congratulations to HPCL for bagging Sustained Excellence category. And the last award in this set, ladies and gentlemen, is a very special mention by jury going out to Tata 1MG. Ladies and gentlemen, with a generous round of applause, let's welcome onto the stage the G20 Sherpa of India and the ex-CEO of Niti Aayog, Shri Amitabh Kant. Thank you for joining us, Shri Amitabh Kant. We'll straight away dive into the next set of awards, which are the Private Sector Services Awards and the Private Sector Manufacturing. I request Shri Kant Munjal and Shri Amitabh Kant to kindly rise as we get into the presentation of the awards ceremony. Let's get started with the first joint winner under the Private Sector Services, and the winner is Reliance Jio. As we said that we have two winners in the Private Sector Services category. The first joint winner is Reliance Jio. Many, many congratulations. Moving on to the second joint winner under the Private Sector Services. This one goes out to Tata AIG. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the last award of this evening. That's the runners-up in the Private Sector Manufacturing. And the winner is Hindustan Unilever. Many congratulations to Hindustan Unilever for bagging the award, and thank you so much, Shri Munjal and Shri Amitabh Kant, for doing the honors. It's time to hear from the visionary leader who has propelled India to newer heights in global trade and economic growth, the Honorable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal.
All the distinguished members of the jury, members of the Munjal family, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, a proud moment to be amidst the winners of these very prestigious BM Munjal Awards. My congratulations to all the award winners, to all the various companies and the people behind the award, as I'm certain each one of you will acknowledge that it's always the whole team effort that leads us to winning these awards. I'm sure the legacy that Mr. Munjal has left behind, the learnings that each one of us are privileged to enjoy from the journey of our hero, Mr. Munjal, and his brothers, will certainly encourage some of us in this room and many beyond to also contribute to nation building, also work to make India a developed, a prosperous nation, and Atmanirbhar Bharat, being vocal for local, being proud about India, being proud about our achievements, and taking the growth story and the wonderful offerings that India has to the rest of the world. Thank you, Sunilji, for giving me this opportunity, and congratulations again to all the award winners. Thank you.
Shri Amitabh Kant, it's time for me to now request you to please join us on the dais and say a few words.
Dear Sunil, it's a great pleasure and an honor for me to be here. These awards are a great symbol of the spirit of manufacturing, the spirit of hard power of India. And much like this represents the Make in India spirit. A couple of decades later, we'll see great awards representing the soft power of India. And therefore, the Munjal Group will represent both the hard power of India and the soft power of India and enable India to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri Amitabh Kant. Thank you, Shri Kant Munjal, for doing the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, to give this evening a befitting start, we would like to start with a thought-provoking panel discussion on a topic which is about the business of doing good. Please put your hands together as I invite onto the stage Mr. Jayen Mehta, Managing Director of Amul. Please keep your applause going as we welcome onto the stage the Managing Director of ONGC Videsh Limited, Mr. Rajarshi Gupta. And finally, we have on the panel Mr. Vineet Rai, Founder and Chairman of Aavishkaar Group, a pioneer in driving impact investments and change lives and communities. For the moderator of the panel, Senior Editor and Senior Anchor from NDTV, Ms. Sikta Dio, who will unpack the insights and help us understand what all more can be done to drive profits and bring about meaningful change at the same time.
We're here to talk about this because it's redefining and reshaping the industries worldwide. Mr. Mehta, let me start by asking you, the Amul story, it inspires us all, isn't it? So what is doing good for Amul right now?
Talking about Amul, as you know, it's a cooperative which started with just 2 village societies and 250 liters of milk way back in 1946. And that led to what is India's white revolution, making India the largest producer of milk in the world. So in its span of 80 years, with a simple objective of doing good to prevent the exploitation of the small and marginal farmers of the society, leading into a movement which made milk India's largest agricultural crop, is a journey that Amul as a brand has taken, this cooperative as an organization has taken. And when we are talking of doing good, not just for the milk, but across variety of sectors, this is a model which is now being implemented.
Mr. Gupta, how has the global push influenced sustainability and social impact in your industry and in your sector?
India is the fastest growing large economy. If it is growing at 7-8%, we are at 4 trillion today. It will require energy to help it grow. In India, every day, across 90,000 retail outlets, 70 million people go to these retail outlets across the country with the hope that they will get the product in gasoline, diesel, or CNG at an affordable price for their usage. So making this available across to every Indian is the biggest task of the national oil companies and the oil marketing companies. I tell my people that the definition of organization is a going concern. And going concern means it should transcend generations. Therefore, our motto is, be there, do good, stay long.
Mr. Rai, for a person who's sitting outside the business world, how will you break down the idea of business of doing good for that person?
So when I started off with my 5,000 rupees, I was obsessed with the idea of taking capital. I started writing emails. Email had arrived by that time. One of the emails went to a gentleman called Anant Nageshwan, who called me out of the blue and said, so if I give you money, what will you do? I said, I'll give this money to a lot of rural entrepreneurs. They might build business. If they become successful, they will return the money. And that intentionality to me will deliver impact. I only wanted to see that the for-profits will allow entrepreneurs to unleash their entrepreneurial energy on large social problems. What we did today is called impact investing, a term that is still very unknown in India, but globally there is $1.5 trillion that is committed to it. But it was actually invented in this country. Nothing before. The term impact investing was coined in 2008, 7 years after Aavishkaar started.
Mr. Gupta, let me ask you. Profit and social good go hand in hand, and government and public sector companies have actually shown the path. But has it been easy for the machinery to understand the change, the government system to understand the change?
Not because I'm on this platform, but I'll be very frank. I'm in my 36th years of the corporate world. I have never ever seen any government machinery stopping me from thinking big. Never ever seen any rule regulation which can stop you. There are rules, regulations which you have to buy. You are using taxpayers' money. You have to give the returns. You have to follow certain procedures, but it doesn't stop you. So if you want to get entangled, you look at rules and regulations, but if you want to think big, there will always be a way. It is not government alone, the national oil companies alone, the private sector. This is not the time for competition. This is my another personal belief. It is more about collaboration and cooperation. The more the risks are high, the more we collaborate and cooperate, it's better. It's from the private sector, from the multinationals, from the majors, and the public sector and the government sector, which can do work together, because no one party can do this alone.
CSR activities once upon a time were perceived as a marketing strategy or to create this outlook for a company. But that perception, that myth has been broken. Much effort has gone by the industry. A lot of efforts have been put to break that myth, break that perception. Is that correct?
That's very much true. And actually, cooperatives have given an answer to that. The CSR law doesn't apply to us because whatever we do is 100% CSR, because you are owned by the farmers, working for the farmers, for their benefit. And still, as I mentioned earlier, if you pass on 85% share of a consumer's rupee, it is what you are benefiting to the smallest producer that we have in our case. And cooperative also is now recognized as a tool for development. I mean, you can imagine after 75 years of India's independence, you have a new Ministry of Cooperation at the central level. All this while it was thought cooperatives are a state subject. But now if the government realizes that the power of doing good can actually be translated in form of a cooperative as an enterprise, Sahkar se Samruddhi, sounds like a slogan, but actually it's a very, very powerful way of delivering and uplifting to all those whom the government cannot reach, the private sector cannot reach. And that's where cooperatives have been identified as a tool for development.
Mr. Gupta, Prime Minister says that हम प्रतिबद्ध हैं clean और green future के लिए. और you represent energy sector. What are the biggest challenges for the energy sector?
Declared goals of India under the climate change, UNDCs as we call them, all have been met by India, each of them. And only the forest area part is probably something that more needs to be done. We have achieved our renewable targets. And you know what? In India today, solar electricity is cheaper than even coal. It's cheaper than gas. So it is no longer that renewable needs a viability gap funding, needs a commercial issue of being more expensive. Solar today has reached that level. The others, the wind is also competing. The hydrogen is coming up. So what I believe is all sources of energy will coexist. Oil and gas will be there. But as we produce more oil and gas, we need to also ensure that we do more with less. So with lesser emissions, with lesser energy that we use for producing oil and gas, and with more efficiency. That we are doing.
Mr. Rai, how do you achieve profit with purpose?
Well, by focusing on talent and entrepreneur and actually telling them that if you do it for the people, chances are you will have sustainable profit. Making money only for yourself doesn't help. If you make the money for everyone, so it's not just paying taxes, but if you can actually share the wealth that you are creating, which is essentially the motto around which venture capital has been built. It's not just me, everybody. You have to distribute wealth. And ultimately, a lot of people across the globe are giving back the wealth. We need to participate back. CSR is one way, but that's only 2%. Can we actually encourage people to participate with 50% of their wealth, maybe 70% of their wealth? Because ultimately, you won't take it up there. It will be all left here.
Mr. Mehta, what can a common man do to be a big support for businesses, for entrepreneurs?
This is a very good question, because every housewife or every person who is consuming will first look at his or her own good. So it is not just that you support somebody or you buy a certain product because they are part of a certain set of organizations. You have to be excellent in the product quality, you're excellent in taste, since we are a food product, excellent in availability, value for money in pricing, and more importantly, a brand that a 6-year-old to a 86-year-old would identify as his or her brand.
Right, market and consumer always comes first. Mr. Gupta, as a citizen, as a consumer, how can we measure the success of a socially responsible steps or measures taken by the industry or the businesses?
In my industry, I will say this, that our product is not seen. It's not seen when it is below the ground. It's not seen when it is processed. So how do you make a difference to this common citizen? I believe that the citizen will be the decider of the next form of energy.
One last comment from all three of you. I start by you, Mr. Mehta. अगर आपको एक must do action हर एक business को सुझाना हो, what will it be?
I think there cannot be any better suggestion. except for having every one of us build purpose in what we do. क्योंकि जो चीज़ हम किस वजह से और किस रीज़न से करते हैं, that defines the purpose of the organization. And if that purpose is for creating good, not just for the owners, but also the stakeholders.
सार्थक व्यवसाय या बिजनेस बनाने के लिए सोशली रिस्पॉन्सिबल बिजनेस का भविष्य अगले 10 सालों में मिस्टर गुप्ता?
We will have to feed the economy to grow and to become India becoming a developed nation by 2047. For that, we need to ensure that every citizen gets affordable, sustainable, available energy. And as an energy company, if we can prove that we are net zero carbon emission, we are not harming the environment, then we are home. So we have to ensure that we look after the future generations. Thank you.
Look after the future generations. One last comment. जो नए बिजनेस हैं उनको क्या सलाह देंगे कि the business of doing good शुरुआत में ही embed हो जाए?
If you are a startup entrepreneur, when you look for a large problem, generally a social problem is a large problem. Because it is a social problem, you will solve it, you will build a big business. And if you can integrate the idea of doing good within the business model, this question whether profit and purpose can go together will get answered automatically.
Thank you so much. Let's keep doing the business of doing good. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for all of us to draw curtains on this very special 17th edition of the BML Munjal Awards. It's been an evening of celebration and inspiration. Thank you so much.